What's up, guys? It's the Baseball Science Guy here with this week's video article on assessing, accessing, and improving rotational power. So whenever we study any sort of human movement, there are three different planes that we can look at. So first one being the sagittal plane, which is forward and backward motion. Then there's the frontal plane, which is side-to-side movement. And then lastly is the transverse plane, which is the rotational aspect. So there's really no surprise that baseball is a very rotational sport, but it's important to understand that rotational movement is actually preceded by the frontal plane of motion, right? So let's think about whether you're on the mound or in the batter's box, right? Before you either release the ball or swing the bat, you have to generate some force from your back leg, transfer it to your front side so that your hips can rotate through, and then your upper torso follows, right? So whenever we talk about rotational power, we sometimes think about strength being the end-all, be-all. And what I mean by that is that it's important to have a very good relative strength base, because that in itself will let you be more athletic on the field and in the weight room as well. But power development is planar specific. So while having that good strength base is a good place to start, athletes need to be able to use that strength in a different velocity component. So I like to think about the absolute speed and absolute strength continuum. So you could be stuck on one end of the continuum. You could be strong as a bull, but if you can't use that strength in a powerful manner and increasing your rate of force development, then are you really training for the right things? So now that we can sort of think about what rotational power is there a way that we can reliably measure and evaluate it? So there was this one research paper I found that tried to determine if using a cable pulley machine with a percentage of body weight could show a peak force output for rotational movement. So with this particular study, they found that using 9%, 12%, and 15% of your body weight on this cable machine, you were able to produce the greatest force output. So there's that little sweet spot between 9 and 15% of your body weight. However, the greatest limitation in that paper was that they only isolated trunk rotation. So obviously we know that throwing and hitting, you're not just using your upper body, right? We're using our lower body, if not even more than our upper body. So what I mean by that is, again, going back to power development being planar specific, we know that through research and everything that our energy is generated from the lower half. Actually, about 50% of it is generated from the lower half. Then this energy travels up into the trunk where it's harvested, and then it translates to the upper body and dissipates. So that's whether you let go of the ball or swing the bat. So again, all this energy is generated from the lower body, it's harvested in the core, and then dissipates into the upper limbs. So now that we saw this one paper and we see that there's a specific sweet spot for producing the greatest force output with rotational movement, is there a way that we can make it a little more specific? So medicine balls are great for either teaching or training for rotation because it allows you to dissociate your hips from your upper torso. And so what I mean by this is that whether you're swinging a bat or throwing off the mound, timing up the rotation between your hips and your upper torso and understanding that elastic sling that you have in your anterior core can be used in the weight room. So to hammer this in even more, I found a paper by Dr. David Szymanski, and he ran a 12-week training study using these medicine balls. So what Szymanski was trying to find was which of the two groups would produce the greatest rotational strength. So the first group did just swing training with their normal game bat, and the second group did their swing training and used additional medicine ball exercises. So what Szymanski found that was the second group who implemented medicine balls into their training saw the greatest increase in rotational strength. So there's a ton of medicine ball variations that you could use to really mimic the swinging and the throwing motion. So again, going back to this whole idea that power development is planar specific, medicine balls are great because you have to generate force through the frontal plane of motion in order to then use that for rotation. So again, hammering home these really important points. If you want to increase your rotational strength, there's a number of ways you can achieve this desired outcome. So first being increasing the strength in your lower half, right? Because about 50% of the energy is developed in our lower half. So if we want to be able to swing the bat or throw as hard as we can and in the most efficient manner, then increasing our strength in the lower half and sort of favoring the sagittal and the frontal planes should be a primary focus. So then once you lay down that good base of relative strength, then your body's going to be able to use this strength in a shorter amount of time by increasing your rate of force development and being a little more powerful with it. So you don't have to get too stuck in that absolute strength part of the continuum. So once you lay down that good relative strength base, then you can start to move at higher velocities, which is very specific to swinging the bat or throwing the ball. So I would say a sub-focus to increasing your relative strength is increasing your core strength. Because if we have any energy leaks in our core, then some of that is going to be lost as heat when it dissipates to our upper body, right? So if we can't really learn how to dissociate our hips from our upper body and being able to use that good core strength and understand the elastic sling, then we're not going to get the most out of our rotation. So I would say next from the sub-focus, being the secondary focus, is to use these specific medicine ball variations that I have posted in my written article, as well as doing some underloaded or overloaded swing training that will aid in your rotational power development. So again, guys, really all this is being strong and understanding how to use your hips, really separate your hips from your upper body to get that good elastic sling so that you can be as powerful as you can in the transverse plane. So with that being said, I hope you guys found this video very interesting. Again, don't forget to go to my written article and look at those medicine ball variations. Be sure to visit my website, baseballsciencemadesimple.com, and I'll talk to you guys soon. So keep swinging.